Hi, friends, and welcome to a very special edition of Decorate Your Life, Scrapbooking, and Card Making. In today's tutorial, I'll be sharing with you how to make a mini album base that fits inside a Graphic 45 Deep Rectangle Matchbook Box, and the box measures 8.5 by 6.5 and it's 3.25 inches deep. I'm breaking this tutorial down into a 2 or 3 part series, so be sure to add them to your personal playlist for future reference. Enjoy the tutorial. Our mini album will be 8 by 5 3/4 with a 1 3/4 inch spine. So you're going to need 3 pieces of chipboard, one at 1 3/4 by 8 and 2 at 5 3/4 by 8. We take two 12 by 12 pieces of matching cardstock and trim an inch off on one side. Then we apply good quality double-sided tape on the edge of one piece and adhere the second piece to it. And here's a tip. If you've been following my tutorials, you'll notice how much I use the guidelines on my mat. If you don't already own a mat, I highly recommend that you get one. This helps you keep your lines straight every single time. And here's another tip that is all about personal preference. Throughout my tutorials, you'll see me use time and time again rulers in my placements, and that is because I like to work neat. I do enjoy working neat. It's just embedded in my brain, and so that is just how I like to do things. So when possible, if you wish, use your rulers to help you guide the placements to your chipboards. This way, no mistakes are made, and you'll find that with a better placement, you'll find that your chipboard actually folds a heck of a lot better than if you were not to do this. Here you see me adhering my chipboard pieces to my cardstock, and make sure that you use good quality double-sided tape here. You'll hear me say this time and time and time again. Your mini album base, along with your binding, must be the strongest parts to your mini album. So good quality products are essential to your scrapbooking. So now that we've put together our mini album base, we proceed to ink around the edges with the Colorbox Graphic 45 ink in dark cashmere. I decided to use my leftover scraps from the Graphic 45 Portrait of a Lady 12 by 12 collection as the inside cover to my mini album. Now here's another important part to a well-constructed mini album base. You must ensure that there are no gaps in the part that goes over your spine and folds. If you miss a spot, you will wind up with gaps that are unsightly and your mini album can eventually fall apart. This is why I always keep a supply of good quality double-sided adhesive sheets in my craft room. If these sheets are not available in your local craft store, I'll leave you with a full supply list with links underneath this video and in my blog. So now that we've constructed our mini album base, we're ready to add our covers. We trimmed 2 pieces from our Princess 12 by 12 collection to 7 3/4 by 5 1/2. We then ink around the edges using our Colorbox Graphic 45 Decades in dark cashmere ink. Once we've inked around the edges, we're ready to apply these pieces onto our mini album base. We are now ready to trim our spine cover piece. This piece measures 1 11/16 by 7 3/4. For our binding, we're going to create a system using peaks and valleys. We're going to trim a piece of cardstock to 4 3/8 by 7 1/4. Next, we're going to be scoring our piece of cardstock to 3/8, then 1/2, 1/2, 3/8, 1/2, 1/2, 3/8, 1/2, 1/2, and 3/8. So your piece of cardstock will look something like this after you have folded over the peaks and the valleys. So now with some good quality double-sided tape, we're going to be taping the peaks portions together. And once again, through the use of an adhesive sheet, we ensure that every inch of the back of our binding is covered. You may also use strips of strong, good quality double-sided tape, but you just have to ensure that every area is covered. So our mini album pages are going to measure 7 3/8 by 5 1/4. So what this means is that we cut our cardstock at 7 3/8 by 11. Is it 11? Hang on, let me do the math. 10. No, it's 10 and a half. I think what you're going to enjoy about this project is that these pages are so easy to construct. You're going to construct 3 pages, and each one of them is a pocket page, and putting these together is so super simple. As you can see, you're going to be taking your pages that you have just cut, and you're just going to fold them right down the middle. These are so super simple to make. And then what you're going to do is you're going to add your flips and your folds, and I'm just keeping it simple. All I'm going to do is a little bit of something special to each page. For example, this one, I'm going to be building a flap that lifts up, and so yeah. So what I'm doing with this flip is I'm measuring as far as the length is concerned. I trim it, and then I'm just going to score at 1/2 inch, and that's going to be my fold. So I decided to add a nice looking edge to the bottom of my flip page, or flip flop fold. I can't talk today. So anyways, I didn't feel like breaking out a die, and I decided to use what I had, and I have not used this Recollections paper punch in a very long time. So that's what I went ahead and did. So whether you want to use a special die, your favorite die, or just a paper punch, it's your choice. So the papers that we're going to be trimming to fit on top of our pages are 7 1/8 by 5, and you will need several of these. You're going to need, let's see, 3 pages, so that makes 6. Yeah, I'm doing really great in math today. So you're going to trim your papers, and before you adhere them, don't forget to ink around the edges with your Graphic 45 color box ink. And as I've mentioned in my previous video, the one that I use is called Dark Cashmere. So now we're ready to add our Graphic 45 papers to our cardstock, and at this point you may use double-sided tape like you may use your glue, and I highly recommend using the glue that I'm using in this video. It's my go-to adhesive for every single one of my paper crafting projects. And what I love about this glue is that there are no lumps. In other words, it dries flat. There's no air bubbles, and I absolutely love that. So yeah, I'll go ahead and leave you a link to my full supply list in my blog, and also I'll leave you links to the Graphic 45 supply list in the description area below. So now you're going to see me do a little bit of paper trimming and inking and adhering, and we are still working on this one page with the flip. And yeah, like I said, it's so super easy, and I hope that you enjoy this process. And attaching the pages to your seam binding is so super simple in this type of mini album. As you saw, I just add my double-sided tapes, and then I edge it up right up to my seam binding, and the way it's edged up, it's not touching all the way, because you really don't want your page to be right at the bottom. At the bottom of your seam binding, you want to give it a little bit of space, because if you don't, then you run the risk of your page not wanting to open the whole way. It will kind of like be straight up and down. And so you do want to leave it a little bit of space there. So as you can see, it is very simple. All I did was put one side down, and now with the help of my handy dandy tool-in-one, I'm able to remove the double-sided tape on the other side, and then adhere that side to the other part of the seam binding. It is a very easy process, and I have found that this is the easiest way for me to add my pages to my mini albums. And now we're ready to build the second page. It's pretty much the same process as how we built the first page, with the same measurements and the inking and the trimming. Not necessarily in that order. First you trim and then you ink. And then, no, wait, let me think. First you trim, then you fold, and then you ink. decided to use 2 of the Graphic 45 regular tags to make a fold out for the second page. In addition, I used the Graphic 45 tag die to make the inserts. As you can see here, I trimmed 2 1/4 inches off of each end, and then I scored it at 1 inch. over here you see me adhering the second page just like I did the first one, or I guess that would be the last one. But anyhow, go ahead and sub to my channel if you haven't already done so that you can be notified when the third and final installment of my CHA mini album video tutorial is up, and I certainly do appreciate you watching and subscribing to my channel and leaving me with such wonderful comments. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I can't wait to bring you live videos from CHA. Thank you so very much for watching. Bye now.